Greetings from Nairobi, Kenya. My name is Caroline Kagia. I am a certified addictions professional. I am an inspirational speaker and a wellness coach. I am also a mom of two. My son is 15 and my daughter is 6 years old. Now, the journey of life is one that fails the comprehension of many, I included. I always believed that life is one straight journey. That is when I was a child. But as I continued to grow, I realized that this journey is full of curveballs, some beyond understanding. Had someone mentioned to me close to 20 years ago that I would become not only an alcoholic, but that I would struggle with various kinds of addictions, I would have probably laughed it off. I would also probably have told them to go back to Hades, where they rightly belong. Unfortunately, however, this turned out to be true. For you see, what started out as fun times almost ended up killing me. What began as one drink turned out to be drinks on an insanely outrageous level. And on this global online conference this evening, I'm here to share my story. I'm here to share my struggles, my journey into, my struggle with, and my recovery from alcoholism. As I said earlier, I started an initiative called Caroline Kagia Wellness Initiative, and that one is aimed at helping those who are struggling with both chemical and process addictions. I am the firstborn in a family of 5. My childhood was pretty laid back, not much going on, but when I think about it, I remember that I grew up with self-esteem issues. I also feel I had a lot of rejection issues going on from back home, which probably played out into my teenage years. So right throughout my childhood, I was a pretty chilled out kind of a chick. I went through primary, got into high school. After high school, I was privileged to do the A-level system of education here in Kenya under the British system of education. Now, remember, I said I was a very quiet girl. I've come from a conservative family. We are not really party people or whatever. I never saw my parents drinking. So here is Carol, and Carol has joined the A-level system of education. And enter culture shock. I'm seeing girls who smoke. In Africa, it was not something that was used to, considering I did my A-levels back in the late 90s, 1999 to be specific. So here is Carol. Carol is exposed to even girls who smoke, and I'm used to seeing people smoking on TV. This was so new to me. And there were others who were smoking something that looked like a cigarette, but it didn't smell like a cigarette. So I was pretty shocked about this whole thing. Then fast forward, there was a girl in my class who really wanted to become my friend, and I couldn't figure out why, because I thought she was everything that I was not. She was beautiful. I didn't think I was. She was popular. That one for sure, I knew I was not popular. And she was very popular with the boys, something which of course I was not. And she was a smoker. I was not. I'd never touched a cigarette, had smelled them, but I'd never used any. So we became friends, and she quickly introduced me to my first cigarette. In fact, I smoked for a longer period of time than I drank alcohol. So in the course of our friendship, very quickly, she discovered that Caroline is a virgin. Caroline has never slept with a boy. Caroline made a vow in church that she'd get married a virgin. So when she discovers that Caroline is not a virgin and Caroline is 19, she goes like, what? How she broke her virginity at the age of 15. Me, here I am at 19. I've kept myself. For God knows the man God will bring my way. So she's like, Carol, God damn it, you must be a joker. So she tells me, you know what? Here's the deal. Because she knew there was a boy I liked in some school somewhere. We had been dating for like a year, but there was never anything, maybe just a kiss here and there, a stolen one. So she tells me, you know what, Caroline, if you sleep with this guy, I'll give you a bottle of wine. So I'm like, what? Okay. So here's Caroline, poor Caroline, trying to fit in with this beautiful crowd because her friends are all beautiful. And Caroline wants to feel like one of them. And remember, now Caroline has forgotten about her vow to God. She's already broken one. She's already a smoker. I got addicted to cigarettes very fast. So she tells me, you sleep with this guy, and then I'll give you a bottle of wine. That was on a Friday. So when I get home that evening, I call up this guy and I tell him, you guy, we need to meet. You know, I've been wanting you, which was a lie. But you see, I have this dare, or should I call it a challenge, that I need to fulfill. So can we hook up? So he goes like, yeah, sure, why not? So I hook up with this guy and we do the deed. Well, for lack of a better word, it was not what I expected. In high school, I used to read these romantic novels, the Jackie Collins, the Mills and Boone, and they used to make this experience so wild, out of this world. And I'm like, oh my God, it's going to be that way. Shock on Carol, it was nothing like that. Now, this is the second rule that Carol has broken. Now she's no longer a virgin. So I go home and I'm like, oh my God, okay, what have I done? The guilt is in me, but of course I can't show it because I come from a Christian family. Now, how do I go telling my mother, guess what, mom? I just slept with a boy, I had sex. I think probably I would have been thrown to the doghouse, literally. So I'm like, okay, with all the guilt that I'm feeling, I take my shower, I do whatever. Come Monday, I go to school and I report. Guess what? I actually did it. So my friend was so excited for me, you could think she's the one who was engaging in that hideous act. And true to her word, she told me, you know what, tomorrow I'll bring you your bottle of wine. And she did. So she came with her bottle of wine, very nicely packaged, 12% red wine. And she tells me, because you've never touched alcohol before, what you're going to do when you go home, since you told me you sleep in your own bedroom, you're going to sit down on your bed, open the window, because alcohol has a smell, and drink it slowly. Okay? Slowly. So I'm like, okay, fine. So I put the alcohol in my bag. I'm vibrating because in African culture, man, there are some things you don't do, especially when you come from a Christian family like mine. What if my mom opens my bag? What would she say if she found a bottle of liquor? Where would I say I got it from? And I'm in school? Really? No. So I'm picked from school, I go home. I do my assignments, I do everything I need to do. I've had my dinner. I'm vibrating on the inside. I can hardly conceal what's going on in me. I'm so excited, you'd think I've won the lottery. Well, those days there were no lotteries, maybe there were, but So I'm waiting for my parents to go to bed. So it reaches 9, 9:30, 10, my dad goes to bed. 10:30, my mother is still awake. 11, she's still awake. 11:30, she's still awake. By the way, tomorrow is school. Please note, tomorrow is school. I'm still waiting to imbibe in my alcohol so that tomorrow I can go and give a story. Hey, 12 midnight, Mrs. Margaret, that's my mother. She goes to bed. So I go to my bedroom. I'm so excited. I sit on my bed and I do exactly what I was told. I open the window. I sit on my bed. I remove my booze. I open the cup slowly. It's true, that thing has a smell. So I take the first sip. I hated red wine. I hate it until today. Sorry for the wine lovers in the house. I took the first sip, yuck. I took told me, the time you never touch alcohol, if you want to get high and you're not getting high, you bend your head forward. So that the alcohol does what? It goes into your head and you get a head rush. I did exactly that. Nothing. In short, I finished a whole 250 ml, 12% red wine, felt absolutely nothing. It's as if I'd been drinking tea or water. I was so disappointed. I put the bottle back in my bag and I went to sleep. The following day I went to school. I woke up as fresh as a daisy and I went to school and I reported and I told her, what is that you gave me? It didn't make me high. She told me, you have a problem. Little did I know that those words were going to come and follow me years later. So we completed our A-levels. At the end of our Form 6, we went out. I can't remember where I cheated my parents I was going, because in our family, if you are not going to church, please stay at home. So I must have said I was going for a church function. So we went out to some club in some high-end part of Nairobi with my new boyfriend and my best friend, and now my packet of cigarettes, because now I'm a chain smoker. So she tells me, remember last year you didn't get drunk? Let's see what happens today. So my new boyfriend bought me alcohol, the first can, second can, third can. The sixth can is what made me drunk, because I woke up to go to the washroom and I fell. I don't remember how we got to my best friend's home because she was living with her folks at the time. And I remember saying, never will I touch alcohol in my life. I felt sick. I didn't know that that is what is called a hangover. I was throwing up all over the place. I couldn't eat. I was feeling cold, yet it was hot. And I said, never. However, ladies, never say never. Never is a very strong word. The following year in January, I was privileged to leave the country to go and study. I was to do a degree in advertising, multimedia, and broadcasting in Eastern Asia. I was to do 2 years there and then go for 2 years in Australia. On reaching Eastern Asia, I knew I was not going to land. I was not going to stay here. I hated the place from the word go. Now, my drinking quickly escalated. I stopped doing the beers. Now I was doing the chasers, that is the tequilas and the vodkas, because in addiction, we call it tolerance. My tolerance levels were very high. So I would take beer and I would feel nothing. But when I mix with vodka, oh my gosh, I've got it. And then now I'm doing cigarettes, I'm doing alcohol, and then I discovered something called marijuana. Okay, but for me, it didn't work. So it's like the way we say on Facebook, it's complicated. We broke up amicably. I stuck to my cigarettes and to my alcohol. Please note, for me to leave the country, it's not that my parents were rich. They sacrificed, they sold land, they got their friends together. In Kenya, we call it a harambe or a fundraising to get me as their firstborn to go and pave way for the 4 who are behind me. I didn't even last 3 months before my lecturer started calling back to Kenya saying, what's wrong? Your daughter doesn't come to class. My parents couldn't understand what was going on because every time I'd call them or they call me, I would give them a story. Caro had become the life of the party. It's not the way I look now. Now I'm older. I was 21 then, very small, a great dancer then. I still can rock it even now. So in every club in Kuala Lumpur, okay, I've said it. In every club in Kuala Lumpur, as long as Caro was there, Kenyans would follow because that was just me. Later, I came to realize that that was a weakness of people pleasing, which is something I had carried from childhood. And until now, at my age of 40, I still struggle with people pleasing. Sigh. So in Malaysia, I discovered a lot about alcohol, and it's by the mercies of God that I'm here today because I survived so many near-death experiences in accidents. I was almost raped severally, but God was always there. He was always gracious. He always protected me. And I believe it is the prayers of people back here. So at the end of the year, when my lecturer saw this girl is not doing anything, they wrote an email and said, we are terminating her course here. She needs to come back home. So the ticket was sent and I came back to Kenya. Of course, well, you can imagine, if you're a mother here, you can imagine you've sent your child overseas and they come back and they've brought nothing other than themselves. It is not a pleasant sight. And to make it worse, the Caro who had gone is not the one who came back. Because when I had gone, I was nice, round, brown, chubby. When I came back, I was dark, thin. I don't know what alcohol does to our melanin. It just messes us up. So we go home and of course my parents were quite upset, but after a few months, I joined a school here locally and I did very well. I did a double diploma in public relations, sales and advertising. And for 2 years, I kept it together until the 3rd year when I became a boarder in college and the alcohol bug hit me once again. My roommates were girls who used to like going out. And at the time I was a born again Christian, I used to sleep with my Bible on my bed. So when they would come back from the club in the morning, I would read for them a psalm or 2 from the Bible and tell them, you girls, give your lives to Christ. Give your lives to Christ. What you're doing is absolutely wrong. You need to get it together. You didn't come to school to take booze. You came to read. Somewhere in that 3rd year, those same words came back to haunt me. And I decided, you know what, let me join these girls. Let's go out. I'll drink a soda as they enjoy their liquor. I drank 1 soda, 2 sodas. Surely, how many sodas can you have in a club? So I decided, let me try and mix my soda with a little bit of alcohol and see what happens. Well, the rest, as they say, is history. We left the hostels of the college on Friday. We got back on Saturday evening. I was asked, Carol, where's your Bible? Today I'm not reading for us any scriptures. My Bible was silently shelved. In the course of that last year, I conceived my son. My son turned 15 on the 1st of this month. My son is a miracle because I drank throughout his pregnancy. I smoked heavily throughout his pregnancy, but that is a story for another day. As if getting a child would have slowed me down, if anything, it speeded up the process because by the time my son turned 7 weeks, I was already craving alcohol and I would start sneaking out of home to go and have a drink or 2. During that period, I also suffered a lot of postpartum depression. 4 months after my son was born, I was privileged to join the sales force in a large media house. I've been in sales and marketing for over 10 years, close to 16 years now, actually. And now with predictable income, my drinking became worse. Now, not only was I not even appearing at home, I also started disappearing from work. That was the one and only job I was ever terminated because the human resource discovered I was a liar. I would cheat that I'm at home taking care of my son. My parents have not seen me for a week. They go to work. They're told, but we're told Caroline is at home. So that is the only job I got fired from. Nobody discovered, or nobody even thought I had a problem. Even I didn't think I had an alcohol problem. I thought maybe it was just an age thing. Fast track. After that, I got a better job. My jobs just kept getting better. I worked even with a media house in South Africa. I was in and out of Joburg and Cape Town every other 2 weeks. Now,
sorry, Carol,
this time is short. I wish I had a longer period of time. Okay. But in a nutshell, let's just say that a lot of African women are struggling with alcoholism. And I stand here as a voice to say that there's no shame in talking about addiction. There's no shame as a woman to talk about your struggles with alcoholism. It is there, it is real, and there's help. I'm a living testimony that it is possible to change if you're determined to change. So speak out, and there is help. Thank you.